friends, it is Stasia and welcome back to my channel. In 2022, I finished quite a few series. I finished a few on my Kindle, I finished a few physically. So today we're going to be talking about 5 series that I completed in 2022, and then we'll go ahead and let you know whether or not I recommend the series, tell you guys a little bit about the series, and yeah. So we're gonna go ahead and start. All of these are actually pretty popular series. I just now finished them, so it is what it is. But the first series that I finished was A Good Girl's Guide to Murder trilogy. I finally read the last book and can say that I completed the trilogy. So overall, I would 100% recommend these series. I believe I gave all books 5 stars. I really enjoyed them. If you don't know, this series follows a high schooler named Pip. In the first book, she chooses a crime or like a case that was closed, and she reopened it for her senior like capstone project. So she looked into it thinking that the verdict that it came to wasn't what actually happened, so she just wanted to get to the bottom of that. So that's who we follow in the first book, and she's kind of just trying to figure out what really happened. And yeah, it just brings up a whole bunch of stuff. And then in book 2 and 3, she does different cases, so they're all connected, but it just follows Pip as she gets older, not necessarily the same case. Like, they're all different people that she's trying to follow. So I definitely recommend. This is a popular series, especially for it being YA. I actually like the ending. I know that a lot of people kind of had mixed feelings on the last book, but I really liked it. I felt like the last book really focused on Pip and who she was, what she was going through, instead of these cases that she surrounded herself with. So I really liked to see Pip in that environment and how she grew through that and her experiences as a whole. So overall, I would definitely recommend this series. All 3 books are great. The second series that I read was the Brown Sisters trilogy, another one which I highly recommend. This is a romance trilogy. These are more companion novels, not a direct series. So it follows 3 sisters, and they all each have their own story. So book 1 follows Chloe, who makes a list to kind of live her life to the fullest because she felt she wasn't living it to the fullest. And then she meets Red, who is I believe like a handyman or something. But yeah, so she kind of tells him to help her complete all of these things on her list, and it's a great time. The second one follows Danny, who I believe is the oldest, but she's very career focused, and this follows her and her love interest Zafir. This is a fake dating situation. And then the last one follows Eve, and she's the baby sister. She's very much known for not taking things as seriously, and this follows her and her love interest Jacob in sort of like a workplace forced proximity sort of vibe. But yeah, so I would definitely recommend all 3. I enjoyed all 3 of them. They all have such different personality, and they all have such different stories. Even all of the love interests are different, and I just really enjoyed it overall. These are really quick romances to get through, so if you're looking for a quick read, I would definitely recommend these. Especially because you don't have to necessarily read them in order, but you do get like little cameos. The publication order is Chloe first, Danny, and then Eve. So this is, if you want to read it, you can see like little snippets of the previous couples in them, but it's not mandatory to read them in the correct order. That's just how they were published, but that's how I read them, and I really enjoyed it, especially seeing like the little cameos in the other books of the previous couples I really liked. The next series is one that started strong for me, but in the end I probably wouldn't recommend it, if I'm being honest, and that is the Serpent and Dove trilogy. Book 1 is Serpent and Dove. book 2 was Blood and Honey, and book 3 was Gods and Monsters. Now, while I enjoyed the first 2 books, book 3 really just didn't do it for me. So I feel like this didn't pay off as an ending, so I don't know if I could fully recommend it. But if you've never heard of this series, this follows our main character Lou, who is a witch, and she gets married to a witch hunter named Reed. So they're kind of trying to figure that all out. Reed doesn't necessarily know what's going on. He's kind of just going with it. But once he starts to find things out, like, it does definitely get interesting. I loved book 1. This ended on a cliffhanger. And I loved book 2, which also ended on a cliffhanger. When I read book 3, I was very much let down. Book 3 was just messy and all over the place. I know a lot of people don't like book 2 either, but I enjoyed it. So I enjoyed the first 2 books. Can't really recommend the last book. So it wasn't like all that satisfying of an ending of a trilogy, but Serpent and Dove was really good. This one was super easy to get through. I loved learning more about like the magic system. There's so much secrets that came out that I thought were so much fun. But in the end, yeah, I'm not necessarily sure if I could recommend the series as a whole because book 3 wasn't really it for me, but that's it. The next book I want to recommend is 3 books, but I only have the first 2, and that is The Kiss Quotient, and then it has The Bride Test. I think the last book is The Heart Principle. So I read all 3 of them, but I don't own the 3rd one, and these I also really enjoyed. This has all Asian main characters, which I really enjoyed, and they all have, I believe they all have characters on the spectrum, which is really interesting to see how all of that goes. So book 1 follows Stella, and she's on the spectrum. So she goes on a dating app to find someone to have, like, to help her in intimacy, like her French kissing and all of that. And that's where she meets Michael, and Michael doesn't necessarily know what he's getting into, but once he meets her, he finds out that he really does actually care about her and enjoys her company and does want to help her as much as he can. So really enjoyed that. I gave all books good ratings, so I recommend all 3. I don't know if I necessarily have a favorite, but maybe The Kiss Quotient. I really enjoyed the first one. I think the first one would have to be my favorite. Or The Heart Principle. I'm not sure. But I do recommend this series as well. I am looking forward to reading more from the author. And yes. And the last trilogy that I have is one that I do recommend. And that is The Aurora Cycle by Jay Kristoff and Amy Kaufman. So the first one is Aurora Rising. Then we have Aurora Burning. And the last one is Aurora's End. All of which I enjoyed. I will say though, the last book got a little messy, got a little confusing, but all in all, I felt like the resolution to everything was worth it. So I still would very much recommend it. So these books follow a girl named Aurora, and she kind of just shows up. She gets rescued in like the middle of space, and she's not entirely sure what's going on. So she kind of just joins this squad of like a whole bunch of people who don't really like fit together necessarily, but they're all a bit of outcasts. So they all go on like these missions to try to figure out. There's a whole bunch of secrets to uncover. It's a whole bunch of drama, but I really enjoyed it, and I am happy that I finally read the final book. I am sad though because my copy, only book 3 doesn't have sprayed edges, so maybe I'll have to do sprayed edges on my own at some point. But yes, this was a very good trilogy. If I had to choose between this trilogy and the Illuminae Files, which is Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff's other like sci-fi trilogy, I probably would choose the Illuminae Files because I really like the mixed media in that. In this one, there is like very few mixed media elements. Like occasionally they'll have like a little log thing that they read, but it's not as mixed media as the Illuminae Files. So if I had to choose, I would probably choose the Illuminae Files, but I still think that this trilogy is also worth it. But yeah, this is just sci-fi vibes. with a whole bunch of mixed matched people thrown in a group together, learning how to be each other's squad and rely on each other. So definitely recommend. Those were not all of the series that I finished this year, but these are 5 series that were popular that I did finish this year, and a lot of them, yeah, I don't think any of these final books came out this year. These have just been sitting on my shelves, but I'm glad that they finally are done, so that I can feel complete and know what happens. So those were 5 books, I guess all 5 trilogies that I finished reading in the year of 2022. If you finished any series, let me know. Finishing a series just feels so accomplishing to me, and it makes me so happy. But I don't read series often, so usually I just read like romance companion novels if I do read series, but these were direct series that I really enjoyed, or most of them were direct series. But yes, so that is that. Thank you for watching. You can like, comment, and subscribe down below if you'd like. All of my socials, follow me anywhere else, are in the description as always. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one.